When it comes to getting dates with girls, most guys have very little success. They can do well and have successful interactions with girls up until they ask her to hang out, when she inevitably rejects them or flakes at the last second. I know how frustrating this shit can be. There was a time where I got rejected more than 5 times in a single month, and each of those rejections came from girls I had been actively talking to and texting. Basically, we'd be texting for a few days and she'd be totally into me. Then I'd bring up the topic of hanging out, and the girl would be super down, and we'd lock in a time and place. But then, here comes the major issue. The day of our scheduled date would come up and the girl would flake on me. She'd give me an excuse, or would cancel on me entirely out of nowhere. However, I quickly realized the mistake I was making. With each girl I'd ask out, I'd follow the same formula. Step 1, I'd text them and start the conversation off by teasing them about us hanging out. Step 2, then I'd go ahead and actually schedule the date with them for later in the week. The first part of that formula is actually really solid because it brings up the topic of hanging out in a really natural way that doesn't come off as pushy or needy. The second part of the formula is where the huge mistake lies. In general, most girls follow an emotional train of thought as opposed to a logical train of thought, making them way more likely to flake on you the day of your scheduled date if it's planned too far in advance. The long stretch of time between the ask and the actual date allows them to overthink whether or not they want to hang out with you, or if you're even worth hanging out with. She may be down to hang out with you on Monday when you're talking to her and having a flirty conversation, but by the time Saturday rolls around, she may not be down anymore. This is why, when you're trying to plan a date, it's best to start off by sending a funny or flirty text to establish a good vibe with the girl. The best way to bring up the idea of a date is to start off by teasing the girl about something you or her are talking about or doing. Then you can plant the seeds of the hangout by teasing and making a joke about you guys doing that thing together. So for example, if she mentions that she goes to yoga every morning, after you tease the idea of you guys doing it together, you can hit her with, "What are you doing today?" And from there, you can set up the date. Asking her to hang out with you at a much sooner point in time makes her less likely to flake on you because she'll be in a positive emotional state towards you and she will have less time to overthink it and flake. Additionally, she'll have a better idea of what her plans are in the immediate future, as opposed to when you plan something out further in advance. Think about it like this. If someone asks you on Monday what your plans are for Saturday night, how likely are you to have plans that far in advance? Chances are you don't have plans that far ahead and haven't thought about what you'll be doing. So when you ask a girl to hang out more than 2-3 days in advance, she doesn't know what she has planned either. So if something more fun comes up, of course she's gonna flake on you because she still doesn't know if you're worth the time it takes to hang out with you. This is why asking the day before or the day of has the highest success rate and prevents girls from flaking on you. If you're looking to take a girl out on a one-on-one date, then asking anywhere from 1-2 days in advance works best. I usually ask the day before, after I've teased her a few times about us doing something together in previous conversations. But if you're inviting a girl out to a party or a club or some sort of nightlife event that's public and includes other people, then I actually recommend bringing this up to the girl pretty far in advance. For example, if you know you and your friends are going to be at a party on a Friday night, I would invite her and her friends as soon as possible, because you want to prevent them from making other plans. This way, when they do go to make their plans, they'll already know about the party, and they'll be more likely to show up, since it's been on their mind for a few days. Now, this doesn't mean you can't invite them out to a party or club the day of. It just means that it usually works better if you plan it in advance because most girls will have party plans once the weekend rolls around. If you happen to find out the day of, then it's still better to just invite the girls anyways because there's still a chance she'll have no plans and will be down. Girls are more likely to say yes if you ask them to do something that's low pressure and casual because it'll be seen as less scary and uncomfortable. This is why inviting girls out to parties, clubs, and other public activities where she can bring her friends is a good idea. This way, she's more likely to come since it's a really low pressure environment and situation. If you're asking her out on a one-on-one date, then I suggest doing stuff like coffee, bubble tea, hikes, and so on, and that's it. In summary, ask the girl to hang out the day before or the day of for one-on-one dates. And if you're inviting her to a public setting with other people, then invite her further in advance. Make sure it's a low-pressure date, and make sure to seed the date by first teasing her about something, then actually asking her to do it. That's all for today, guys. If you really want to improve your texting, then you can check out the link in the description, where I put all of my knowledge in one single book.